Welcome to PAX Australia. It's Arcade Couch live from the PAX show floor. I do that every year. It's great. We're once again welcome to the PAX booth to record another episode of Arcade Couch here. Firstly, it's a very good booth. My name's Boy. Joining me, of course, is Ciaran Martin.
It is I here at the Audio-Technica booth for all things and everything.
Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here at PAX doing another normal episode of Arcade Couch. We're going to be talking about ADGAs. We're going to talk about the JJ Jima's teased game. And we're going to talk about Overwatch having a bad launch.
It's having a great week. It's having a great week. I don't know any problems.
Not mention Overwatch again past this point. Also here, Cherie Henriques.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Cherie. I'm welcome back to Cherie.
Captain Cuties is back.
Hashtag Captain Cuties.
But we'll go through. I want to talk a little about. Look, we do the same thing every year here. It's fine. It's what it is. Talk a little bit about PAX itself before we get into the games, because I think that's been the most interesting story this year, more so than like previous years would be like, oh man, Final Fantasy or Doom Eternal or like whatever the really big game was that was on show. But I feel like the story of PAX 22 is simply the fact that it happened. How it's been years since it was on, obviously, so how everyone's feeling with that, the combination of there's no Sony, there's no Xbox, there's no Nintendo, how everyone feels about that. How have you seen people hear or talk about those sort of things, like how the general reaction has been from other people, and then how are you feeling attending a massive convention with a lot of people, especially if it's like the first time you've personally been. Because I know some of us have been to things, some of us haven't really been to larger events the last few years while COVID's been on. Some of us haven't travelled at all, like the first time since COVID's been on. So it's like a little bit different experience between all of us. So let's start with you, Ciaran. Like, how's your PAX experience been this year?
PAX has been good this year. It's a very different environment and vibe, I think, compared to my last one, which was 2018. Didn't come 2019. Was like, man, I'll be there 2020. Was not here 2020. Coming here this year, I think the vibe in general, I think a lot of people, especially the first day, were just coming to terms with the fact that we were here and then it was what was going on, and we were actually able to interact and see so many people we haven't seen in a very long time. I think PAX as a show floor is a very different vibe in general, just because, as you said at the top of the introduction, there's no Microsoft, there's no PlayStation, there's no Nintendo. Generally, all of the big boys have fairly large showings here, and they're not here at all. So there's more space for more unconventional and different things. Like, I think, even just looking at the Audio-Technica booth, it's bigger and better than ever in many ways, and especially the booth we're recording in. And maybe that is part because those guys aren't here and more people are able to get space. And I think for the indie developers that are here, and it's a fantastic range they've got here this year, they get more eyes on them. More people have more time to go to them. You're not doing that thing anymore of, okay, Saturday morning, I need to go directly to the Sony booth and line up and spend the next 3 hours lining up, and that's a good part of your day. I just think there's more range and more variety and more ability to use your time how you see fit here, rather than wasting it or spending a lot of it stood in lines waiting for different things.
Ash?
Yeah, I'm on a similar idea. Not having the big three makes a huge difference. Even just show floor wise, like, you would come to PAX every year and there would be, on every single corner, there'd be some person screaming out, hey, who wants free merch? We're giving away a headset, we're giving away a microphone, we're giving away a t-shirt. Now they're way more spread out. So
now they're giving away cars, I hear.
What?
Really?
Oh, you missed out. That's how you thought.
I should have got a car.
Yeah, on that, there is a lot more like all the racing stuff, all the simulators and stuff. There's a lot more of that this year, which I think is like a part of like the F1 thing booming during COVID.
Everyone's big drive to survive fan.
Yeah, everybody loves
Massive.
that. Everybody's a big Daniel Ricciardo fan.
Yeah, sure. That's a bit of a sore subject to be bringing up right now for F1 fans. But
Oscar Pastrana.
Yeah, Piastri.
You're
right, Ash. You can. Your F1 credentials.
I totally did that on purpose. Yeah. But yeah, it's been fun. Great vibes. Like, everybody's. I think Saturday it was like that's when there was the most people. But Friday, Sunday, it's been pretty chill. Not too much squeezing against each other, like there was in previous years. It's been reasonably well spread out, and I think it's been a lot of fun.
Sorry?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, there hasn't been as much arm-to-arm movement as what you'd normally have in previous years. Saturday was very busy, and then, excuse me, might die here at PAX from losing my voice. Not used to talking to so many people in such a short period of time and talking over the noise. So I myself have actually found it not like overwhelming, but man, it is exhausting having to just have the continuous conversations and be on all the time and then be around all these people. I really think that without having Xbox and everything here this year, it's actually showcased potentially what else they could do and bring to PAX that they might not have had space for previously. But I think it's also opened up the opportunity to say that there probably is more that can be done. But yeah, I mean, I think the indies have had a better chance this year without having those bigger booths here especially. And then at least people are spending more time playing them. It's exposing their games more. That's more of a benefit than anything else. And I apologise for my voice because I sound like a prepubescent boy with weird volumes happening. I've got voice pops happening, but yeah.
Went hard all week.
I was not partying. I was just busy talking to Dave.
We saw you hit the dance floor, Cherie. You were going mental.
Yeah, it's been weird. Because obviously coming in, there was I think there was that. Where was it? Maybe 3-4 weeks prior to record. Coming here was recording an episode of Arcade Couch, and as we were recording it, Ash is like, "Oh, actually, I don't think Sony or anyone's there," and that was the first time I was like, "Wait, aren't they?" They aren't. I didn't actually realize. So that was. It wasn't. It was sort of shocking because to me, I'm like, whatever. I don't really mind too much. I mean, I would have loved for Ragnarok to be here. That would have been massive. That would have been the first thing I ran to in the media, obviously, and then that would have been packed for the entirety of the show. I would have loved to have gone hands on with PSVR 2. I mean, there's upcoming Pokemon game. There's many things I can think of for everyone apart from Xbox that I would love to play here.
That was an unneeded gig. That was, come on, mate.
Hellblade 2.
Exactly.
It's not coming out.
No, it's not.
Game Pass, man. Buy Game Pass, everyone.
So there's lots of things, but ultimately every PAX we end up spending the most time at the indie stuff anyway, so it didn't really overall affect it, but I do feel like it has affected it for other people. So we've had many indie devs say, hey, this is a lot busier than what we were expecting. There's a lot more people down there, which is it's sort of a blessing in disguise, I guess. You got all these Australian indie games that are now getting more eyes on than if Nintendo, Sony and Xbox were here, but also now the devs are fuck, I'm tired. Even more so than I
should have hired more people.
Yeah, should have hired. I'm a solo developer, but I can't afford to make my game, but I definitely should have somehow hired some more people to help me. So that's sort of a blessing in disguise. How's everyone felt, about the COVID stuff, I guess? Because that's the other thing. We all have differing degrees, I guess. I know Ciaran, Ash have attended. You've been out sort of in it. Cherie, not so much. I've travelled a bit during COVID, so I don't know, and I know other people we know were expressing on Twitter, should I come this year? I'm still a little bit worried, which is totally fair. If you want to be extra, I've been carrying around a mask, putting it off and on, just depending on how many people are around, but it's sort of hard. So, Cherie, I'll start with you. How's the coming here, this massive thing, COVID, worried you?
I mean, I'm immunocompromised, so this is definitely the first thing that I've been to with this amount of people. I haven't felt uncomfortable, I don't think. I work in retail anyway. I've worn a mask majority of COVID just because people are complete goobers.
Because they're disgusting people. Yes, they don't know basic hygiene.
And it's sort of anything that you can do to reduce that small risk. I've not had COVID. There's a chance I could be in hospital if I have COVID, so I think that overall I felt decent because it hasn't been overpopulated. Saturday was a bit crazy, and that's obviously when you just put your mask on and it just comes back to comfortability. But I think overall it's just the exhaustion of being around so many people, that constant noise, not having a minute to yourself. I find that more overwhelming than worrying about COVID and hygiene when I have my mask, I have my hand sanitizer, I'll just do what I need to. If I need to step outside, that's fine. But yeah.
Ciaran?
Yeah, I guess for me it's not been a big leap or difference, just because the amount I've gone to footy this year and been to footy, and it took me the first 60,000 person game I went to in round 3 versus Carlton Hawthorn. I just got COVID straight up.
Who
there.
won that?
Carlton did by 1 point. Thanks, Ash.
I honestly didn't know.
Yeah, no. That was like 1 point, but it's fine. It doesn't hurt. It just.
If that was the worst thing that happened to Hawthorn this season, that
No,
would be.
can we not? Let's just not.
I mean, it came up.
It's video games, man. It's yeah. I guess maybe I don't want to say desensitized to it, but I think it's just part of everyday living now. Is just I've been to the city a number of times. Kind of, I guess, for a lot of people, hand hygiene is becoming a lot better and a lot more regular. I think the first day I was wanting to grab a mask, and I meant to grab a mask before coming in, and then it was pretty chill. I think everybody seems to be following, and it's nice to see little things like the Audio-Technica guys wiping down all the headphones and the mics and the services before we get on. Like, it's really appreciated. So I think when more stalls and all stores, when you go to your indies and you see everybody's wiping down controllers and making sure areas are COVID safe and kind of protected, I think it puts a lot of people at faith, and I think it's a positive that has changed in the world thanks to COVID. It's sad that it has to be a pandemic that does it, but it's a positive change.
Yeah, like Ciaran said, seeing everybody wiping stuff down, there's like hand sanitation, sanitizer stations. It feels like every 20 meters or so. I feel like everyone's doing it pretty well. I mean, as long as you aren't super packed in, I feel like it's not as bad, even though we all know COVID is not. It's pretty easily transmissible, but fingers crossed.
The aisleways are wider, especially because you do have less exhibitors on the floor, so they have made the aisles a lot wider, and I think that's noticeable. It was really only Saturday that you were sort of arm to arm with people. Otherwise, it was actually like you could be dancing out there, no worries.
Yep.
And that's what you did, Cherie. Is you danced.
We're dancing all over the place.
Dancing all night long.
And now you're super tired.
How do you... the one thing Cherie and I were looking on, Twitter this morning, where PAX posted, thoughts or whatever, something like that. And the common thing did seem to be, I feel like we're very much like, hey, we're probably going to spend a lot of time playing. We'll talk about this this morning, I guess, to a degree. We would spend a lot of time playing indies anyway.
Yeah.
But then we were also talking about, hey, Ciaran said, if I wasn't here, if I wasn't part of Explosion Network and I was just coming here, I may have been, disappointed. So, and we did see a lot of people online saying, hey, I only bought a one-day pass and I was kind of disappointed with what was at the show. Do we think they're, sort of justified sort of complaints, or is it a matter of, hey, maybe you should step outside your bubble a bit more and go enjoy some games that aren't just your big third-party publishers, and if that's all you care about, then, you were aware of that before you bought the ticket? How do you feel about that, Ash?
Well, I don't know if they knew about that before they bought the ticket. Obviously, tickets were on sale back in March.
Yeah, true.
But I think that, the refund policy was reasonably broad, so if they weren't happy with what was being offered before the show started, I'm sure they could have gotten a refund. If you wanted to be here and just get the big third-party AAAs, I think you would come away a little bit disappointed, but if you're here for the gaming vibe, the gaming community, esports, Dungeons & Dragons, all the tabletop stuff, which was huge this year.
Yeah.
It was packed on Saturday. It was like every single possible chair was taken up, I'm pretty sure, with people playing board games. Then I'm sure you would be very happy. But yeah, like you said, if you would here just for the one thing, you probably didn't get it because, it was Sonic Frontiers. Biggest game of the show.
What the fuck are you saying?
Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, it's a great game.
It's the biggest game of the show.
It is. Great game. Gotta go fast.
Don't know about that.
I met Sonic. I saw him. He waved to me. He knows me. Got his mobile number.
Wow.
Ciaran.
I did. I think my point is more maybe not specific to one-day passes, because I think there is a lot you can do in one day here. Whether you are checking out the schedule on the day and just be like, hey, this panel seems cool, I'll go to this panel, because I'm sure there's going to be a panel for anybody throughout a single day. I think for people who buy 3 days, I think 3 days is stretching it, because if you have a solid 2 days where you're really just loving indies and you're playing indies and stuff, you're checking out some board games, and you're having a little bit of a look at the different manufacturers and the different brands that are here.
Like Audio-Technica.
Like Audio-Technica. That we should... How many times... Yeah, let's just keep doing it. Let's...
Whenever it's natural.
Exactly. Sure. But... yeah, I think that third day or that second half of the second day, I think you're going to be pushing yourself a little bit to find things to do and to make sure that you're happy and you feel like the money you've paid for your 3-day pass is worth it. Because I think unlike the weekend passes, other than Saturday, like you probably could still get a ticket. You could still get a pass. Yes, it sucks that you would have to line up and grab a pass physically here beforehand, and that would take away part of your day each time. But yeah, it's 3 days is there enough? I guess the 3 days I always have a thing mentally in PAX previously where it's like, okay, this day I'm gonna go, like first day you check everything out, and then the second day you have like a mental note of, okay, Xbox is here with this game that I want to go see, so as soon as I'm in, I'll go straight there and I'll line up and I'll get that out of my way. And then day 2, PlayStation's got this, I'll go straight to that and I'll line up and do that with day 2. I just think there's not enough large marquee items to warrant the 3-day pass in its extended. But once again, PAX is such a all over the place kind of community in terms of there's so much variety. If you are stepping out of your bubble and you are checking things out, you are checking board games out if you're a video game player. I think there is something for everybody here, and there can be more than one thing for you here, and it just takes you looking at it from a different perspective and giving everything a chance.
Yeah, I really think too that I haven't had a good look at panels. Like, as content creators, we're primarily here checking out games. Like, we don't spend the day sitting in panels, but unless there's something that really stands out, we'll go check it out. And I think that's where, obviously if you're here for a day, you've got a couple of panels, you've got games to play, that'd be fine. But I really do think that you're right, Ciaran, like tabletop was huge this year. And I think that they set it out a lot better than what they normally do too. So there is like a better traffic flow. There's a better mix. One thing that like I had brought up that I think has shown on the show floor, because you do kind of have just indies and then you've got these bigger stands that are just screaming all the time, all day. I really would love to see them do like an artist alley or an art competition or something for gaming art. That's something that I'd really love to see, just because I think it does really break up what you're doing during your day. And then the other thing that I liked that they did this year, they've done a lot more food vans, and that was something that we saw, like Dylan and I had seen in the comments a lot. People were very happy with like the food variety, and that sort of just adds to the atmosphere that wasn't previously there before as well.
Yeah. And then I feel like the biggest positive, so we're talking about negatives, but the biggest positive I've seen from everyone, and I'm sure all of us can agree, is like there is definitely like PAX has that slogan or whatever they chuck around every year where they're like, welcome home, that whole thing.
Yeah,
but I feel like this is definitely the year where everyone was like all aboard that, because there just has been like a sense of, like a bunch of us hadn't seen each other for ages. A bunch of our other like podcast friends haven't seen for years, and like there's all these people like expressing how also just people who have met each other through, like, I don't know, maybe they started watching someone's Twitch stream and then they became friends like that, and then they've met up here for the first time. So I do feel like compared to past years where it's like a bit of a slogan thing, this year is like definitely had a bigger sense of that community aspect that they try to make part of PAX, especially coming out of years of COVID or whatever else, where everyone's like, oh, the world's can get better areas. Oh, jeez.
Oh my goodness.
Destroying Audio-Technica's gear, it's flying in my hands, going crazy.
But it's well built, so it holds up to the standard.
I was doing that on
purpose.
It's all part of my bit.
And also, just super quickly, when you say about slogans, whoever this year is writing for PAX on the digital signboard is killing it. There has been so many on, like, I don't know if you guys have seen this, I've seen it on social media or walking in. My favourite still is, hi, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favourite convention. It is...
Our faces were just
you guys, oh my god, none of you played Mass Effect.
I've played Mass Effect. What the heck?
Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, I just
Shepard is so busy. Why should we go to conventions?
I haven't seen the sign, is all I have to say.
Because to get a discount at every store in the Citadel, you say it's your favourite, and then that I just...
Good bit, Ciaran. Good bit.
We like video games. It's fine.
But let's talk about some video games that we're playing here at the show at PAX. Let's move into a bit of that. So we're going to go over sort of your favourites or just your second favourite. I don't know, I didn't want everyone to pick the same game or something like that. And then we can also discuss this, which is just going to be overall, I guess, the games we like the most. Ciaran, you have put down Box Night by We Made a Thing Studios.
What a great studio name. Like, what an awesome studio name is We Made a Thing.
Lots of good studio names.
There is, actually.
Australians know how to name things.
I actually found like a minor
See
point.
the Explosion Network for all our podcasts.
I found this year, like especially talking to devs, like Adelaide has a really cool community of devs that are all showcasing stuff this year. And they've all been,
Adelaide is. I think Adelaide, obviously Melbourne, put a lot of funding into getting a lot of these studios over here, so that that's why we're seeing a lot of Adelaide representation.
Yeah. So to talk to the guys at We Made a Thing Studios, Box Night is a brawling side-scrolling, like isometric, asymmetric. I don't know these words. Is a brawling roguelike game where you are a office worker in a dystopian world where Friday hits and you are tasked with battling through your entire office building until you get all the way to the top to the CEO to defeat the CEO and become the CEO of the company and kind of defeat the tragic capitalistic world that the main character lives in. And it's very much drawn in the same art style as thinking of South Park Stick of Truth and the South Park art style. For me, it very much was South Park crossed with Castle Crashers, giving you the demo here, sitting you down and going through it is each level or each room you go in, you have to kill 3 waves of different kind of mobs and monsters, all that have got really kind of great and well-written title cards that pop up when you first meet them with a really kind of tongue-in-cheek humor that comes with it. Battling through you get a whole range of abilities to kind of fight through, and then each time you fail you come back and you do upgrades and you get different weapons and you can make sure you upgrade the amount of beer you can hold, because of course Friday beers, they're going to give you health. It was a really fun game. It was really great to sit down and not only play it myself, but I was with Dill when Dill played it and got to sit there and talk through with one of the devs about the game and hearing their perspective and the feedback they've gotten. One of the things was, I'm obviously just a bit of a spud and didn't realise you have to hold down a dash attack to get through.
I'd also like to point out, I didn't realise this either, but I could hear you having this conversation on the side just enough that when the dev was like, oh, you just hold down the button, and then I was like, I knew that the whole time. I just started doing it.
And it does a lot more damage, but it's great to have those organic conversations with devs, and I think the guys that We Made a Thing, having a really open conversation and, even just have the insight of, by the way, and talking to Dylan when Dylan was playing was like, by the way, getting to the boss is really hard at the moment in this demo version because you don't have many of the upgrades you need to try and fight this. And Dill did pretty well, got to a third of its HP.
True gamer cred, flex.
True gamer, and got told how great
it was. The best.
Apparently
so far.
The best so far. Some cracked Fortnite kid has probably been on it and already destroyed that already, but that's what it is these days. It was fantastic. I love the humor, I love the art style, and I think to hear about a dev studio with We Made a Thing, to such a small team that is working on this in their own time, out of hours after their full-time jobs, and to see how far they've come for it. I think it's a fantastic game for one day to be on Nintendo Switch. I believe he was saying that there is already a beta on Steam at the moment that you can go and download as part of Steam Next. It was absolutely fantastic, and I'm really excited to see that game come out. I think they said they've got 2 levels or 2 sets of floors already developed fully, and they've got to do another 2 more.
2 out of 4, I think, was the... They said something about, if they get, a bigger publishing, I guess, then they could do more
funding,
but they want to draw, a line so they can just release the game, so...
Yeah, definitely.
Which is fair when you're working on something part-time and... you don't know, where the money's coming from.
100%.
Do stuff like that.
You just kind of want to get it out there.
Yeah. And I enjoy playing it as well, for sure. It was a lot of fun. I definitely feel like, I even felt like I needed a few more enemies or just the damage to do, more enemies and then the hits to do a little bit more, because I feel like if you make it a bit more hectic, it would, the pace, I guess the rhythm of it was not quite intense enough would be my my thing. Like you kill the enemies and like quite often I'm like, oh, where's Old-One? He's on the other side of the room. You got to wander over there. You know what I mean? Just got like pick up the.
And I guess that
pace.
changes. We weren't experiencing like the level up aspect of the game. We got a little bit like your health increases as you level up, which we were getting, but we weren't getting the performance of kind of restarting another Friday and restarting, kind of leveling up and getting different
actual
abilities.
roguelike element.
Yes,
You're
yeah,
just
100%.
doing one run.
Yeah. Which even if you based your first run of say Hades off the whole game off that first run, you'd probably think that game was kind of mid. Because the first run isn't very fast paced, you feel clunky for a lot of the first run of that game, unless you've played it before.
Apart from the dude who beat it without dying on his first run.
That's insane.
Yeah, did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's dumb.
Ash, your game that you've picked is Dead Pets Unleashed by Triple Topping.
Crap.
Yeah, so you play as a young demon woman named Gordy. Well, I guess not. She's 30. That's young, isn't it? Yeah, I want to believe that's young.
Why are you
looking at Cherie?
That's young, isn't it, Ciaran? Yeah, 30?
Sure.
Well, that's young, isn't it?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Let's
good.
go with that.
Yeah, she's...
Yes, just say yes.
Yes, okay.
I'll feel better if you say it's young.
Yes. Yeah, so she's part of a rock band that's been struggling for 10 years. She's destitute and not making much money, very behind on rent and that kind of stuff. It's very much a lifeless narrative-based game with a bunch of different mini games scattered through. Whether it's her working at a diner to get as a normal job, it's like a diner dash cook serve deliver kind of game where you're trying to mini game where you're trying to give people their orders and everything. Or it's a rhythm-based band practice mat game, which is really fun. And then there's just random little mini games that don't really serve any overall purpose, whether it's putting stuff on a hot dog, or watering your cactus Satan, or or cleaning your self-pleasuring apparatus. What
He works so hard to get around just from saying you wash a sex toy in this game.
There are people walking past this booth. You don't know who's listening on Discord. But yeah, really fun. Very clever writing. The art style is really cool. That switches up to like a chibi style for some of the mini games. I really dug it. So yeah, that was my game of the show.
Yeah, that's this is one that I really liked as well, and I had such a weird experience with it because I played it and I was like, I really like this game. Like it's a punk rock story where you sort of get to make these decisions where which is the other thing I don't know how that would play in the full spectrum if there's like different endings or stuff, but like at the start where you have someone who's like, can I lend some money? If you click no, it's like you get like less friendship points or whatever, and then something else.
Did you boost your personal ego or something?
Something like that. And then when you go to do the cook serve delicious bloody overcooked minigame thing, which is your job, which is another one where I'm like, I feel like that minigame and the band practice minigame are going to repeat throughout the game, because I feel like you would go to work often to get money to potentially do other things, and it's a thing where you could choose to either do a full shift, and if you did a full shift you're going to get more money, but you get like less points with your friends because you're late to band practice, and you got like you got -1 punk point as well, because it's not very punk to do a full shift at work. So, so I only did like half a shift there. So then you go to your friends and you do the band practice afterwards. And so in my mind I'm like sort of just linking up all these elements of this game and hoping, just assuming I guess how they'll all link up, where you know like maybe your band does either very terribly or not as you continue on, but the rhythm game, and I should have looked it up between when we talked about it yesterday in this recording, but I think it's called Muse Dash. I'm just going to Google it real quickly before I go into it. We'll do it live, it's fine. I do this on the podcast all the time. Muse Dash thing, it's fine. But there was this rhythm game I used to play on my phone all the time. It's on Muse Dash is what's called. So there was this game on Switch, and then it's on iOS as well, and it's like a very anime-looking rhythm game, and that's what the rhythm part of that game reminded me of. Like, because all it is 2 rows or whatever you want to call them, like rhythm sections, So you're either hitting one button to hit the notes that are on the floor, and then you're tapping up to jump into the air and do those notes as they come. It's very simple, but it worked for Muse Dash because you could play it with buttons on the Switch or whatever. But then also when they put out the phone version of it, it just meant that you either tapped the left or right side of the screen. Like it made it a very like simple rhythm game to play like that. So that worked out quite well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like the aesthetic. I like the fact that you play as demons who have life problems for some reason in this alternate world.
They're all different, very different looking.
Yeah, I think like the characters that they set up for it as well is really good because they do give you a slight outline when you meet them for the first time in the game.
Like a very Scott Pilgrim, like
yeah.
Here's these important little tidbits you need to know. Yeah, that was exactly the sound.
Can we not?
But yeah, my funny little story for that one was I play it and I'm like, really like this game, and then after the fact I realised I'm like looking at who made it and it's like, oh, Triple Topping. I'm like, oh, Triple Topping, I know that game. And then that name, I look it up and they did Welcome to Elk, so I'll just shout this out because that's a game I really liked from last year that I don't feel like enough people played. But Welcome to Elk was a really cool like game, and it's set in like a European town where it's like all snow and stuff like that. But the connecting fabric between that game and this is very minimal. Like that game had a very cool art style as well. Very different to this game. Still cool art style. Narrative-driven game where you sort of show up at this village and you get to know the characters and do all these sorts of things. But the only thing that makes these two games I like it all is you had all these really random mini games, much like Dead Pets.
Unleashed.
Oh, I can tell that game.
It's like the Forced Unleash.
Yeah. Rip. Rest in peace.
I think it's still playable.
No.
I think they've remastered.
It's not canon, I don't care. So my favourite game that I'm going to pick is Tem Poppo.
I love poppin' games here.
It's true. So this is a new game from Witchbeam, who was the developer behind last year's... It's crazy it was only last year, hey? Last year's Unpacking, which we'd seen at PAX for years as it like slowly progressed in development. And of course Unpacking like had this very sort of simple but cool setup to its gameplay mechanics, and I feel like this game has the same sort of thing, so I'm keen to see how it progresses close to development. But this one, very different to Unpacking. You play, it's like Lemmings. I feel like Ash sort of had it right, is the best sort of way to describe it. There's this little creature, I guess they're the Tem Poppers, or whatever we're going to call the plural of
Tem Popperinos.
The Tem Popperinos.
Yeah,
these cute little blobby creature things. And then they're sort of on, I don't know what you call it, like those games where they have like, you know, the blocks.
Isometric block field.
You know what I mean? Like it reminds me of like Fez and, you know, like where it's like
and
the...
Captain Toad,
like where the
Captain
levels...
Toad's already the best
Yeah,
one.
the levels
like a cube
Yeah.
floating 3D level.
They're always like floating in a space, like an area or whatever. But it's like that sort of setup, and you press play, and the little critter will just start like bouncing around on its own path. However, without directions, it has no fucking clue where it's going at all. So it'll dive off the side of the cliff. It'll run in the spikes. It'll get eaten by a skull monster thing that's jumping around doing its own thing. It'll do all those sorts of things. So what you need to do is you press a button, it opens up a little spin wheel thing, and you can press, you can like sort of guide it. So you can put a left arrow on a corner so it turns left there. You can press another one that sort of it'll whip and break an object that's in front of it and be able to get through that. There's another one you can place. It's like a little leaf thing, so it'll blow up into the sky. Yeah. So the levels start out very simple, where it's like, you place a left arrow here, you place a right arrow here. It sort of makes its way along the path. Everything's all very good, hunky dory. Gets to the end of the level and off you go. However, as the levels progress, suddenly it's like, okay, well now there's two Tem Popperinos, whatever we're calling them. They're bouncing around. We've got several little skull critter things that are bouncing around too, and they potentially going to hurt them. Going to hurt someone. And then you've got to do things where it's like, okay, well, as this one Tem Popperino gets to this point, I'll put a symbol there that means it'll turn into a block for like 5 seconds. And that means when the other Tem Popperino's coming past, it'll bounce on top of its head and be able to make its way across a gap. But then you've got to see what happens next. It's very much like a thing of trial and error. So although some of the things get complicated quickly, I never felt like you'd get frustrated or feel dumb, because it's very much like it is designed to be trial and error. So you don't feel bad that you fail, like compared to other puzzle games where maybe you spend a minute doing something and you're like, oh, that doesn't work, that's sort of annoying. This game is literally, the first thing I did every time I went to a new level, just press play, see where the 10 pop arena is going to go, and then figure it out from there. Don't try and like solve the puzzle before you're able to see what is going to go wrong, sort of thing, you know what I mean? And then the other aspect that I really liked about it was the music is real head bopper. It is a
Head bopperino?
It's a
Head bopper-
10
popperino.
popperino with the head bopperinos. It has really good music, and that was the other thing I said to them down there when I was talking about it yesterday, was in a game like this where you're constantly sort of restarting the same level and it's rewinding this one song that plays throughout the different levels, if the songs were trash, you would get very quickly annoyed, and I think it'd be a big turn-off point of the game, because the 10 popper bounces to the beat of the music. So it is like a rhythm game, not that you're actually doing the rhythm, but it's a rhythm game in that when the 10 popperino is jumping around as it makes its way through the level, by the time you solve the puzzle of the level, you've sort of created this track, this song that plays, and you get to see to full fruition by the end of it. So that was really cool as well. Ash, do you have any? I know you liked.
Yeah, I really liked it as well. I think very cute, very like simple. I mean, it's just like kind of basic coding.
Damn.
Just kind of directing stuff to go certain directions. I mean, it's not. But with their aesthetic and the music and the cute figures and like just it's all well put together, and the slow ramp up of the challenges, I think is very exciting, especially from this team. Like Dylan said in our video on youtube.com/Exposure Network, when we talked about it a little bit more in depth, obviously unpacking, we saw just the unpacking elements at PAX in previous years.
Like just the puzzle element.
Just the puzzle elements. Over the years, they obviously added more layers to that, including a much bigger narrative story. If they do a similar thing with this, that'd be very cool. If not, this is a great game by itself. But yeah, it's very exciting from Brisbane-based studio.
I can imagine that potentially, as it progresses, that they add in different little 10 popperinos.
That's officially what they have to do.
We'll go and let them know.
We'll go let them know, yeah.
Cover more elements, because obviously the main thing is that they create into blocks, but they could maybe add different ones that do, like I've played similar games where it goes into like one creates a bouncing thing, one creates a that sort of thing, so that could be cool too.
Yeah. Well, I think the wheel was probably like, when you open it up, the wheel was probably like 10 things or something. And I think maybe we saw 3 or 4, probably. Like, the wheel was always not full of like the objects, the different commands that you were able to give the 10 poppers. 10 popperinos.
10 popperinos.
10 popperinos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just to reiterate on that fact, I do think that seeing if there's like an added story here is going to be the most interesting thing to me, because I feel like that's what we've played today. Is similar to Unpacking years ago. Was I played Unpacking here at PAX when it was actually out in the whole area where I can't remember what that area was for, but they had it out there. That was the first time I played it, and it was like, oh yeah, this is really cool. Like it's a puzzle game where you can't really fail. Like you just put stuff places, and that felt kind of nice. It was sort of, talked about how it was a Zen puzzle game, and that was really cool. But then it was 2 years later when they put the demo up at Steam Next Fest or something like that. That's something I was like, wait, there's a story happening here. Like the items are now telling a story, and very much like by the time the full game came out, that was like one of my the glowing parts in the review I did, of course.
You were very angry about that college diploma.
Very angry about it, and that's the thing. But that college thing, the post, that's the thing that if you don't spoil that game to anyone, that one part of that puzzle sort of makes people so angry from a story reason, which is crazy, and like one of the reasons that game's so good. So I will be interested to see if they try and do something similar to this, where they add sort of a story that's maybe not as direct, like not cutscenes or something. But and you may be like, well, how do you do that in a game like this? But I would have said the same thing about Unpacking. I would have been like, well, how do you add like a depth of narrative to a game like Unpacking without actually doing cutscenes and stuff? And the only pseudo cutscene they have in that game is right at the very end, like right before the credits roll, and that's sort of the one time you see the character that you've been unpacking the life of. So Yeah, that's so cool. Cherie, what's the...
Wait, one more thing. I managed to play on the Steam Deck.
Oh, that's true. That's a good
It's
point. We should point out you did play a Steam Deck.
It was on the Steam Deck, which I think one of only 2 Steam Decks in Australia. Very,
They were
very
both
comfortable.
here. They were both
They
here.
were both here. It's crazy. Yeah, very comfortable. It feels like a bigger, heftier Switch, but not like super heavy. I mean, it's a little bit wider. Mouse, but it's just very nice. You know?
I want to point out, before we move on, now that you brought this up, because I did forget, that episodes and episodes ago, there was an episode where we bring up the Stream Deck. I say that when it comes to Australia, I very much like one because that seems like the perfect place to play all these indie games that I don't get a chance to play because I don't want to sit at my PC. Ciaran laughed and was like, oh yeah, just like your bloody Playdate, gonna get a Stream Deck. And now he's over Steam Deck. Bloody hell, it's
Steam
horrible.
Deck.
I've got a Stream
I
Deck.
do,
I do
yeah,
have a
that's
Stream
fine.
Deck. I would like a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, do you want to admit you're wrong like everything else?
No, because I have to play it to admit I'm wrong.
No,
And I avoided it. I said if I played it, I would then have to admit I'm wrong.
Okay.
I didn't touch one, so I can't avoid it.
Well, we're
so
gonna
it's a
fix
play
that.
date. No, I'm out of here.
Did you get a Playdate update?
Did you? Yeah, I was going to say, are we getting a play date?
Yeah, we want to do it live on the PAX Australia. I got an email that says that my Playdate shipping is coming now. I'm in the current lot. I'll be
Sweet.
I'll bloody cogging around
Let's
soon.
go. Dust Collector
Crank it.
4.0.
I'll be cranking around.
You'll be cranking that
I'll be cranking
right
that.
on the floor.
Yeah.
Cranking that like Soldier Boy.
Keeping another part of your shelves free from dust in 2022.
Shut the hell up.
I've spent a lot of time like talking to devs during PAX in the indie section, and it's amazing how many of them came to PAX just completely not knowing what to expect, and actually a lot of them being quite like negative about their game. And I guess that's kind of what I've noticed from, obviously we haven't had big gaming conventions on for a couple of years because of COVID. All these people are using, all of their free time. They're working on some of these games part-time, and they're honing in, and they don't have any other eyes on it. The public haven't played some of these indie games before, and it's only been the devs, playing the same part 200 times to try and get what they want out of the game, and not really knowing what to expect to bring it here. So I've spoken to quite a few people that they just have been really appreciative to finally get some hands on the game, to know that people really love them. And I think, we've seen a few of the indie games have had only one laptop playing and playable for their game, whereas like now at Sunday suddenly they've got 2 there, they've got 3 there, because they have had such a positive reaction from the public about the game. And like that comes back to what we were saying about the indie section having a lot more people in there without having PlayStation and everything here, but at the same time it's been such a positive experience for them because their confidence hasn't been there in their game, and now they can really walk away from PAX being like, this was a positive experience just for us to know people love our game and we're working towards something and achieving something with our game development. That for me has been like such a positive thing, talking to everyone as I've been walking around.
Yeah.
Didn't you say, who said the Primordials Legends devs said they didn't expect the game to be so busy or something like that? Was that it? Didn't someone say that?
That's been so many.
Yeah.
Is it Skiers Landing?
Yeah.
Is that the game?
Yeah, Skis Land.
That I was talking to those devs, and they were saying that they had absolutely no idea what to expect. They've had no sort of exposure, I suppose, other than what they've been able to create on socials. And the other thing to point out too is like a lot of the indie games this year are on Kickstarter. So I would say and remind everyone that after you've played games that you do love, please go over to Kickstarter and kickstart a lot of these games, because this is how a lot of these devs are getting by. They're only part-time, they all have day jobs, but they are working hard at these games, and if you love them, definitely support them in those ways.
And on that, since wish list is the other thing that we
Yes.
that's the reason they always ask you to wish list the game is because Steam has a really weird algorithm where the game's like super wish listed, it'll get pushed to the forefront, like sort of in the lead up to release and stuff. So they don't always like wish list just because I want you to buy my game. It's like, no, even if you're not buying it, please wish list. Like,
Even just so you can show those numbers to potential publishers and that kind of stuff.
And the other thing to point out too is like a lot of these games do have demos out now on Steam. So if you have missed out on playing a game across the weekend, definitely go over it, check them out still online, take a photo, remind yourself, and then go and check them out. Because a lot of the same demos, if not slightly different ones, are available online.
Yeah, because that was I was thinking like when the Primorials dude was like, I think he did say like, oh, I didn't expect it to be so busy. But I'm thinking like, I remember seeing that trailer when
it blew up on Twitter.
Yeah, I was
it
like,
was massive. Like a couple weeks ago,
he said it was super trending on Reddit, and then the Reddit moderators like banned it.
why?
Because they don't like Australian indie devs, I guess.
They don't like
Hollow
wombats.
Hero.
Yeah. So they put it out again, but same thing. But yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Ciaran, do you have like a random let's do like a round of shout outs. I just like quick before we wrap up sort of thing.
Yeah, first shout out. I've been sat here looking across from all three of you, and I thought, you guys look so great. I don't know why, and I just realised it's because of the Audio-Technica headsets you guys are all wearing and microphones. They're all in front of you. It's making you look ravishing. But no, my shout out is actually not video game related, but tabletop related. I had a fantastic time running D&D yesterday. But I got to jump in and run a one-shot for a couple hours. And yeah, it was really fun. So I definitely recommend anybody who's new to D&D or experienced with D&D, jump in when you come to these conventions and play a game, meet some new people, get a feel for a different kind of Dungeon Master's playstyle. I think it's really fantastic, really fun, and it's a very open and welcoming community.
Was that so? That was with one. So you had one friend there, but like so everyone else was just random.
So there's generally 6 players a table and 1 Dungeon Master. And so, you sign up. There's like obviously 6 spaces, so you sign up beforehand for your time slot, and then you get assigned a table, and you go to the table and you meet whoever's there. So you can sign up by yourself, you can go with a bunch of friends.
It's like speed dating, but for D&D.
For D&D players, definitely.
Ashley, got a shout outs?
What, like to a game or people?
I don't know, whatever you want.
Shout out the team at Well Played. You know, we
all right.
didn't really super know them the last PAX. But they've all been super welcoming and like fun to hang around with. Zach Jackson, super nice, especially when he's drunk. And super it's true. He's not going to listen to this.
So nice though.
Yeah, super nice, and they all know their stuff, and they're great people to hang out with. At least they're willing to come out and have drinks.
Cherie, do you have any shout outs?
I'm looking at all 3.
Do you want to tell Ash to piss off?
Yeah, a bit of both, I guess we played a game called Noodle Ninja. That looked
Noodle Samurai.
Oh, Noodle Samurai. Ninja. I don't know why I've got Ninja.
Yeah, you don't want to get those mixed up. There's a big fan base. Star Wars
people get very upset about Ghost of Tsushima.
Ninjas and samurais are that's a...
And that was a really cool game where you...
Mordekaiser's. Jesus.
So, for those who don't see, a guy in a great Mordekaiser cosplay walked past and Dylan jumped out of his chair.
Press Q to win. Continue.
So you collect different food items to create a noodle soup for this guy, and he plays like this little monkey with a grapple, and they were just a really cool group of people. They're the devs, and the game just looked really pretty. But I think overall, #cuties, there's definitely been a lot of cutie games.
This is a good point. What is the #cuties game of the show?
Oh, Tim Popo is that's pretty #cuties. I have to, but when you do go to the tabletop area, there are so many #cutie card games.
You know what we should do? Because I love saying things that we should do on podcasts and then
that we never do.
Or I feel like if I say it on a podcast because it's recorded, there's more chance we'll actually do it. What we should do next year is we should make a sticker.
#cuties.
A #cuties approved.
And that's what I said.
We've said this. Haven't we said this for
Captain
years?
Cuties approved.
We've said this for years,
Yeah,
right?
I was working on
stickers
my
like
stamp.
that.
We would make so much money.
Why are we selling them?
Why is it always about the money? Jesus.
No, it's about the cuties. Let's be real.
All right.
Okay, cuties and then money.
No, just the cuties. Calm down.
What about you, Dylan? Who do you want to shout out?
I want to shout out Sonic. No, I'm
I mean, in this weather, it's it's a hard costume to fit.
I appreciate that whoever's in there. I mean, Sonic himself, because it's not a costume.
I'm pretty sure it's not Ben Schwartz.
No, that's much. I know. I'll just shout outs to not game. Just I'll say reiterate on the communal aspects.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll go for the sweet
It's been alright.
the sweet comments. Say it's been been very good to actually get back in, because we got so used to it where it was like, oh, yeah, like maybe I'll see some of you like once or maybe twice a year, but I'll see you at least once a year, you know, and then like so.
Yeah.
It just like to sort of disappear, and there's like lots of people, of course, and stuff like that. So it's just been good to actually be back at a con and do stuff. Like I feel like we got so used to it. Sort of also helps, and I feel like you use it like every PAX was sort of like a reignite sort of your passion, I guess, for like doing the website or the podcast or whatever. So it sort of helps to come here and play like a bunch of indie games and talk to devs and like.
Record in a really cool booth, like from Audio-Technica.
Yeah, so we're just like used to like years of just sitting either at home recording podcasts at our computer screens, or sitting there writing articles, or you know whatever. Like, and it's actually good to be out at a con again for the first time. So that's going to be my special shout out, I guess. So there you go. All right. That will do it for this year. Once again, thank you to Audio-Technica for letting us record at their wonderful, sexy booth this
Shout
year.
out to Brendan White from 8-Bit for helping set it all up, arrange all the times.
Yeah.
And thank
not
you.
just because he's outside and might possibly be listening.
And thank you to our technician Matt, not the Matt you're thinking of if you know Audio-Technica, but Matt.
It's love that. We hope we get to see you all, of course, at next PAX. If you've seen us all this year, that's great. If you didn't, you know, it's
Too
time.
bad.
Yeah, too bad. Actually, no, at this point, by the time you listen to it, it's not there. But make sure, of course, you head out to exposurenetwork.com/PAX-Oz22, where all of our PAX videos, articles, this podcast, everything like that will be posted up. Of course, you can find all of our socials on the usual place, exposurenetwork.com/Twitter, and then join our Discord, exposurenetwork.com/Discord. And for all of us here at PAX Australia, that is it. It's over. Let's go home. I'm tired.